egregious act that Stephanie White committed last night was the benching of Red Kryptonite herself. And Lord knows, we could have used some kryptonite against the Mystics last night. Could we not? Question mark, Stephanie White. She benched Chloe Bibby, who all Chloe Bibby does is come in the game and knock down like 3 big threes. That's all she does.
Stephanie White just couldn't help herself. Instead of coaching, she made it personal, and Fever fans are not letting it slide. Her comments about Chloe Bibby's benching, dismissive, insulting, and flat-out nasty. And trust me, this goes deeper than one random game. So here's the real question.
I mean, Chloe Bibby should be on this team next year. All right? Can we say the same for the coach? Question mark.
Is Stephanie White actually protecting Caitlin Clark, or is she sabotaging her own team? Let's set the scene. The Indiana Fever are once again in the middle of a storm. And no, not the Seattle storm. I mean a disaster of their own making. Because when you're losing winnable games, when you're hanging by a thread in the playoff race, the last...
Sometimes she knocks down 2 in like a minute and a half. I mean, she's literally outscoring the minutes she plays. Did she think the scoring was so great last night that she thought she ought to just ride the bench? Don't worry. Stephanie White has made comments. Don't worry. We'll get to the Fever fans that noticed it last night.
Thing anyone wants is the coach stirring up drama with her own players. Yet, here we are. Chloe Bibby. Remember the name, because fans definitely do. She's called Red Kryptonite for a reason. Instant offense every time she steps on the floor. 2 threes in 60 seconds? Already done it. Spark plug off the bench when the starters look flat. That's her role. She's not demanding 35 minutes. She's not begging to be the star. She just delivers buckets when her number is called. And here's the wild part. Apparently, scoring points is too much for Stephanie White to handle. Because in a game where the Fever offense looked like it was running on dial-up internet, White benched her completely. 0 minutes. Didn't even let her unzip the warm-up jacket. And when asked about it afterward, White served up an excuse so weak it almost felt like parody.
I didn't like the defensive matchups. You know what Fever fans don't like? Losing to bum-ass teams. That's what they don't like. That's what Fever fans don't like.
Defensive matchups, she said. Some switches we couldn't make. Really? That's the story? That the one reliable shooter on your roster can't play because she might blow a rotation? Meanwhile, half the team was already getting torched on defense anyway. But sure, let's keep the best shooter in street clothes. Genius.
Whatever word you'd use for it that happened in the second half of this game, what led to that to you?
Yeah, I think we over-dribbled at times. Our off-ball movement wasn't there. We did a lot of standing. It's almost like we gave the ball to Kelsey and just tried to watch her work. And that's not when we're at our best. I mean, yes, certainly we want to have the ball in our hands, but we've got to continue to get movement with and without the basketball. It was getting stuck. I mean, we want to play 0.5 to 1 second basketball, and we weren't. And it's got to get moving. And you know, it hurts. I mean, think if we had 8 turnovers for 13 points in the second half as well. So we didn't take care of it.
Fans saw through it instantly. Social media was chaos. One comment: 0 minutes for Chloe Bibby is the nastiest of all nasty work, was everywhere, and nobody disagreed. Because at this point, it doesn't feel like coaching anymore. It feels personal. Like White has some grudge, and instead of doing what helps the Fever, she's letting her ego dictate the game plan. And that's dangerous, because when a coach does that,
her in to try and spark the offense a little bit, or what was the decision behind not playing her tonight?
Yeah, there were some thoughts. I think that it matched up defensively more than anything with the way that we were going to try to play them, or in some of our switches and things like that. So that was mostly the reason.
people start questioning everything. Is Stephanie White even trying to win? Or is she so locked into a rigid defensive philosophy that she's blind to reality? On paper, the Fever are stacked. Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham, Chloe Bibby, Lexi Hull, that's not a lottery team. That's a playoff team. And yet, here they are, barely hanging on. And here's where it gets messier. Fans are connecting the dots. They're starting to believe White cares more about pushing her own agenda than maximizing her roster or protecting Caitlin Clark. Because let's be real, if Clark hadn't turned this franchise into must-see TV, White's seat would already be boiling. But because Caitlin is drawing ratings, selling out arenas, and driving jersey sales, White gets cover. She can bench contributors, hide behind coach speak, and keep her job, for now. The irony? Clark's the one paying the price. She's out there gassed, dragging the team through double teams, while the actual shooters are stapled to the bench. Fans see it. Mitchell forced...
And then just with the rotation, was it just those eight or seven that you ran with? Was it just they were flowing well and you wanted to just leave that going, or what was the thought there?
Yeah, I think some of it was defense. Being able to execute the type of defensive coverages that we wanted to have against this, the way that they play. Rebounding was some of that too, making sure that we had people that were in position when we were in some of our switches to rebound. I think the biggest thing for us on the defensive end was just too much fouling. And then, offensively, we went with that small lineup at the end to create a little bit more space, but you got to be able to give your chance by taking care of the ball. And in the second half, we didn't do a good enough job of that.
Contested shots. Sophie left open but ignored. Bibby rotting on the sideline while the offense dies. And then White? Arms folded, stone-faced, like a substitute teacher who's already given up. That's the image. And it's ugly. The WNBA begged for credibility, and Clark was supposed to be the bridge. She delivered. Ratings up, tickets gone, national buzz. But when casual fans tune in and see coaches sabotaging their own rosters, see stars hung out to dry, it makes the league look amateur. And that's not on Caitlin, not on the players. That's on Stephanie White. And it's not even the first time. Random benchings, weird rotations, refusing to ride the hot hand. It's a pattern, and the excuse is always the same. Matchups. Translation. I don't feel like explaining myself, but fans are done. They're calling it what it is. Nasty. And here's the fallout. Fever fans are fed up. Some are saying they won't watch until Caitlin's back on the floor. Others are saying they can't handle this circus anymore. And that's how momentum dies. Because once people believe games are being lost over grudges instead of basketball, they check out. Look at the numbers. The Fever are one bad week away from falling out of the playoffs entirely. And it's not because they lack talent. It's because their coach keeps tripping over her own ego. Meanwhile, expansion teams like Golden State, already competitive, already maximizing every piece. That's coaching. What White is doing? Coaching malpractice. And fans are whispering darker theories now. That White favors certain players. That she doesn't vibe with certain personalities. That maybe it's even deeper than basketball. I'm not saying it's fact, but when decisions make zero sense, people will look off court for answers. And once that narrative sticks, it's hard to shake. And here's where this ties back to Caitlin Clark. Because when you bench a shooter like Bibby, you're not just punishing her, you're punishing Clark. The entire league knows how to defend the Fever, trap Caitlin high, force the ball out of her hands, and dare the rest of the team to score. That only works if shooters are glued to the bench. With Bibby on the court, suddenly that strategy is risky. Suddenly defenses have to guard the corners. Suddenly Clark has outlets. But White shut it down, and the message that sends is brutal. We'd rather lose my way than win Clark's way. No wonder people call it sabotage. Think about it. Clark is the golden ticket. She's the reason the Fever went from irrelevant to prime time. The reason jerseys sell, the reason casual fans watch. And her own coach is actively making her job harder. Instead of maximizing her, White is minimizing her. If you're Clark, how do you not take that personally? Fans already see it. Some say White is threatened by Caitlin's spotlight. Others think she's trying to humble Clark. A few say she just doesn't like certain personalities on her team. True or not, perception is reality. And right now, The perception is that Stephanie White has lost the plot. And the timing couldn't be worse. The Fever aren't secure in the playoff race. They're dangling by a thread. Every decision counts. Every rotation matters. And White's big plan? Bench one of the only consistent shooters. That's not strategy. That's ego on full display. Compare that with New York Liberty or Golden State. Those teams have systems, defined roles, coaches maximizing their stars. The Fever? They look like they're spinning a roulette wheel before tip-off. Tonight, Lexi gets 30. Tomorrow, Chloe gets 0. Why? Who knows? It's matchup magic, and fans are done buying it. The scary part is, this could affect Clark's future. Everyone knows she's the face of the league. But stars don't stick around if they feel like their prime is being wasted. Look at Luka in Dallas, LeBron in Cleveland the first time. Frustration builds, loyalty fades. If Clark feels like she's fighting uphill against her own coach, the clock starts ticking. And honestly, you can already see the signs. Watch the last 2 losses. Caitlin's frustrated. She's barking at teammates, throwing her hands up when shots don't fall. That's not immaturity. That's a competitor realizing she's been set up to fail. And if it keeps happening, the calls for White's job won't just come from fans, they'll come from national media. So now it's decision time. Stephanie White can either swallow her pride, play the best players, and admit her defensive obsession isn't working. Or she can keep doubling down, keep alienating fans, and watch the Fever slide right out of playoff contention. But if that happens, the blame won't fall on Clark. It won't fall on Chloe. It'll fall squarely on Stephanie White. Because coaching isn't about grudges. It isn't about ego. It's about maximizing your roster and protecting your star. Right now, White is failing at both. So, I'll ask you, what do you think? Is Stephanie White clueless, or is she sabotaging Caitlin Clark's rise? Either way, the Fever's season is teetering, and Clark deserves so much better.